get a tariff, you get a tariff, and you get a tariff, all in the name of strengthening the American economy. No, this isn't some boring high school econ lecture. We're going to expose these little taxes that are like financial termites, silently chewing through your budget while you're busy wondering why Dollar Tree prices are now $1.25 per item. So, what exactly are tariffs? In plain English, they're taxes on stuff we bring in from other countries. Think of them like a cover charge for foreign goods. That box of Italian pasta or that shiny new phone from Korea? Yeah, they've got to pay to get it in. And guess who really pays that cover charge? Hint, it's not Italy. America has now employed a new fat bouncer that's turning products away at the border. In this video, we're breaking down all you need to know about tariffs, from why they exist to how they quietly raise the prices of almost everything. We're here to show you the sneaky tax hiding in plain sight. Understanding tariffs allows you the full sight picture of the costs behind that price tag. Once you're aware, you'll know exactly how tariffs hit your wallet, and how to stop falling for the political smoke and mirrors. Let's go back to basics for a second. Tariffs aren't new. They've been around since countries figured out they could charge each other to trade. Think of it as the oldest form of international passive aggression. One country says, "Hey, nice goods you've got there," and the other replies, "Thanks. Now pay up if you want them." It's like charging your neighbor a toll every time they borrow your lawnmower. In fact, tariffs were once the U.S. government's financial MVP. Before income taxes crashed the party in 1913, tariffs were how America paid its bills. Need a new navy? Slap a tariff on British textiles. Want to build some railroads? Tax those fancy French wines. It was a simpler, more tariffy time. Today, tariffs are less about funding wars and more about waging them economically, at least. The official pitch is always patriotic. We're protecting American jobs. We're bringing manufacturing back. We're standing up to China. And sure, some of that can be true in very specific situations. But let's not kid ourselves. At the end of the day, tariffs are taxes. Full stop. They're just sneakier because they don't show up on your paycheck. They sneak into your card at Walmart. They make stuff more expensive. Period. And not just fancy imported cheese or luxury cars. We're talking about everyday essentials. Phones, clothes, cars, medicine, even the recliner you cry on after looking at your credit card bill. If a business has to pay more to import parts, they're not just going to eat that cost out of the goodness of their heart. They'll pass it along to you, the consumer. Tariffs can also start trade wars, which sound cool until you realize they mostly just mean your stuff costs more while global leaders throw shade at each other on international news. So unless you're living off the grid, knitting your own sweaters and farming your own soy milk, chances are you're paying more because of tariffs. They're the invisible tax you didn't vote for, but definitely feel. Now, here's where it gets shady. Politicians love to puff up their chests and say, "We're sticking it to China," or "We're making Mexico pay for our problems." But newsflash, the bill still ends up in your mailbox. Or, more accurately, in your grocery receipt, your rent, your Uber Eats order, basically everywhere except your tax return. Here's how it actually works. Say the U.S. puts a 25% tariff on imported car parts from Mexico. Sounds tough, right? Like we're showing them who's boss. But let's follow the money. That Mexican company isn't just going to eat that cost out of national pride. This isn't charity, it's business. So they raise their prices. The American car manufacturer buying those parts now has higher expenses. They don't just shrug and say, "Well, c'est la vie." No, they raise their own prices to make up for it. Then the dealership tax on their share. And finally, when you show up trying to buy a Honda Civic so you can finally stop Ubering to your soul-crushing job, boom! That 25% tariff is now baked into your monthly car payment. You are now unknowingly funding an international argument between two governments who haven't agreed on anything since the last World Cup. Tariffs are like financial hot potatoes. Nobody wants to hold them, so they keep tossing them down the line until, surprise, it's burning a hole in your pocket. And not just with cars. This applies to everything from smartphones to sneakers to your kid's asthma inhaler. If it crosses a border and gets taxed, that tax eventually boomerangs back to you. Here's how it works. Politicians declare economic war. Corporations play financial dodgeball, and regular folks get hit in the face with the ball. And the most ironic part? Most people don't even realize it's happening, because tariffs don't show up labeled as tariff tax on your receipt. They're just there, lurking quietly behind that $4 avocado or that $1,200 iPhone. The time when tariffs went from boring policy to front-page drama. President Trump imposed sweeping tariffs during his first term on steel, aluminum, Chinese goods, you name it. And whether you loved him or hated him, you probably felt it at the checkout line. The logic was, we'll bring jobs back to America. The reality? Price hikes. One study found that American companies paid $80 billion in tariffs from 2018 to 2020. That's billion, with a B. And no, that money didn't fall from the sky. It came from businesses and, ultimately, you. Let's go back to our car example. Tariffs on imported auto parts means that even American-made vehicles got pricier. Why? Because cars are like global puzzles. Pieces come from all over the world. Slap a tax on even one of those pieces and, well, the whole car costs more. Some estimates said vehicles could cost $4,000 to $10,000 more because of tariffs. Now, imagine telling someone, yeah, I paid 10 grand extra for this Ford pickup because of a tax war with Canada. It doesn't exactly roll off the tongue. You tax them, they tax you. Welcome to the international version of, he started it. Tariffs don't just make domestic prices go up. They also spark retaliations. If the U.S. slaps a tariff on Chinese electronics, China might respond with a tariff on American soybeans, or oil, or whiskey. Suddenly, American farmers are losing money, and American drinkers are very, very sad. These back-and-forth measures can escalate into full-blown trade wars. And the global economy? It gets jittery. Businesses hate unpredictability. When tariffs fly around like cicadas on a spring afternoon, companies hesitate to invest, hire, or expand. That's how you get slower growth, declining trade, and a lot of grumpy economists yelling at cable news cameras. But can tariffs ever work? Let's be fair here. Are there cases where tariffs can do some good? Sure. In theory, if done right, tariffs can help struggling industries compete. They can give domestic companies some breathing room to innovate, grow, and hire more workers. They can even push foreign companies to play nice and negotiate better trade deals. It's like giving your local team a few extra draft picks to level the playing field. But the key phrase here is in theory, because in practice, it's a messy gamble. For a tariff to work, the protected industry has to actually do something with the protection. They've got to hustle, modernize, streamline, build better products, and compete globally. But too often they just lean back in a comfy chair made of government favors, jack up prices, and pretend they're invincible. Meanwhile, consumers are left paying more, for less. It's like putting a toddler in a bubble to protect them from the world, and 10 years later wondering why they can't ride a bike. And let's not forget, there's usually a reason those jobs left the country in the first place. It wasn't just for fun. It was cheaper, faster, more efficient. Tariffs might bring back some jobs, but not the same kind, not at the same scale, and definitely not at the same wages. You might get a few factory lines back, but it won't be 1985 again. No boomboxes, no mullets, just some jobs wrapped in nostalgia. And a price tag. Sometimes trying to revive a dying industry with tariffs is like dusting off your ex's old mixtape and blasting it at a party. Sure, it's got some sentimental value, but let's be honest, it doesn't really hit like it used to. Now let's zoom out and ask, what does the Fed think about all this? Short answer, they're nervous. Long answer, they're nervous and confused. The Federal Reserve's job is to keep inflation under control and stop the economy from becoming a flaming clown car. But tariffs make that way harder. When tariffs raise prices, the Fed starts sweating, because higher prices look like inflation, and the Fed's first instinct is to raise interest rates to cool things down. But here's the catch. Higher interest rates slow down spending, which slows down growth, which kills jobs, which, yeah, you get it. It's like trying to put out a fire by throwing water on it and then realizing the water is gasoline. Right now, inflation is already a sore spot. Prices are up across the board. Gas, groceries, rent, your cousin's OnlyFans subscription. Everything's more expensive. People are stressed. Wallets are tight. And the Fed is stuck in an economic game of Jenga, hoping one bad move doesn't send the whole tower crashing down. Now, let's talk about where tariffs actually land. So here's the bottom line. Tariffs are taxes, plain and simple. They might be wrapped in flags, campaign slogans, and all-American bootstraps, but at the end of the day, you're the one paying for them. And look, we get it. Sometimes tariffs are a tool worth using. Maybe they help protect national security. Maybe they're part of a bigger strategy to force a trade partner to stop cheating. Or maybe they're just leverage, like saying, "Nice car industry you've got there. Would be a shame if something happened to it." But here's what matters. Know the cost, and know who's really paying it. It's not China. It's not Mexico. It's you. So the next time someone says, "We're just protecting American jobs," you'll know to smile, nod, and check your receipt, because your wallet's probably picking up the tab.